Good morning, Patrick here, coming to you live from Complete Health in Eastbourne. First of all, I want to make an apology that I didn't manage to jump on yesterday. We were having problems with the Wi-Fi in the clinic, and for some reason the live function on my phone just wasn't working. And by the time I got home, I didn't get home until nearly 9 o'clock, by which time I was just not ready to live. So I just wanted to jump on and talk about true healing times and what people expect, but what really actually happens. Now, the majority of us understand the first couple of phases of healing, but potentially don't actually understand all the phases of healing and actually how long they tend to take. And the majority of us have been through a healing response at some point in our life, and could probably think of a couple of examples where we've injured ourselves and something similar to this has taken place. So when we have an injury, the first thing almost everybody will see is inflammation. And this typically lasts 2 to 3 days. And it can be as quick as a day, but generally as a rule of thumb, the tissue that you injure, so say for example you get a bruise, what you'll start to see in that area is swelling. The blood will flow in, it will go red, it will go hot, and it will go swollen. And the reason being is your body wants to immobilize the area and create some level of pain. So it releases chemical hormones in the area. It also increases the swelling and the heat and just makes it an irritable joint to support. And again, the reason being is what your brain wants to do is recognize whether this injury is serious or not serious. And so it wants to immobilize that area and start to allow that healing process to take place. Now, also getting blood into the area will allow for nutrients to get in. But what we know is that swelling is not actually all that helpful on a chronic basis, which is why in that first 24, 48, 72 hours, using stuff like ice can be really, really helpful to get rid of the inflammation and allow you to start supporting and using and getting some function back in there. Now, the next phase is the phase that most therapists understand, which is that healing phase. And this is somewhere between 6 and 8 weeks. Good morning, Cheryl. This is somewhere between those 6 and 8 weeks, which is when the body is actually creating the tissue again. So say, for example, again, when we look at something like a bruise or a tear in a muscle, what will start to happen is those fibers need to re-meet with each other. They need to reconnect. And so what starts to happen is new cells turn into muscle cells again, and they fill in the gaps where those tissues might be injured. Now, typically they do this in a very haphazard way. So if you imagine a box of matches, injuring a tissue might be like shaking up the box of matches so that the matches are not all in a nice straight line anymore. And as a result, when you start to put them back together again, sometimes the matches go back into the box, something like this. And so yes, the muscle will hold, but because all the fibers are not sitting in the right directions, they can be really unfunctional and stiff. So say, for example, if you are a runner or you are a gymnast or you are a bodybuilder and you've got a muscle that is not functioning at its ideal level and you push it through its boundary and it takes that muscle past what this will allow as far as flexibility and function and strength is concerned, those tissues will then re-tear and re-injure. And that's why we tend to see a massive reoccurrence in injuries again, because we get through that 6 to 8 weeks, people are feeling better, they get a lot of the function and their strength back. But actually what they haven't regained is the full pliability and flexibility, strength and motion in that muscle. Now, this is the interesting bit, because this is the bit that we don't talk about, and this is the remodeling phase. And this is where the tissues stabilize and they're realistically less likely to tear again. And this is called the remodeling phase. And this can take anywhere up to 1 year to 2 years. Yep, I said it. The thing that every therapist is scared to say is that an injury typically takes anywhere up to 1 year to properly and fully rehabilitate. Doesn't necessarily mean that someone is with a practitioner for 1 year, but you have to be doing something to maintain the strength and integrity of that tissue and allow that scar tissue to break down again so that the matches are not sat like this, they're actually sat back woven again so that tissue can get its full flexibility and pliability back. And if you're not allowing that tissue to get its full flexibility and pliability back, that's why we see people who feel good, leave the office, and then come back 6 months later with a very similar injury. If you want to know a little bit more about healing times and how it works, there is research in physiology textbooks that actually proves this stuff. I'm not actually making it up. So when we're actually recommending a care plan, we're recommending it based on what the physiology textbooks say, not what we think works or what we think will keep people happy. We're just honest and we tell people exactly how long things take. So, like I say, hopefully you'll find some value in this. If you know someone that is maybe struggling with a problem, or they keep getting the same problem over and over again, they do some stretches, it feels good, but then it goes again. This is why those tissues have never been allowed to properly heal. Until tomorrow, take care, guys. It's just Patrick here from Completely Healthy Eastbourne. And again, maybe you've got an injury or you want some advice on stuff. Maybe you've got a topic that you want me to talk about. Leave it in the comments below so I know exactly what things you guys are interested in. Till tomorrow, take care.